Hey guys, Kevin here, and what I'd like to do in this video is talk about this. This is the GoPro Hero 6, which you should be able to see there. I'm not sure if it's coming up in the light. The reason I'm showing you that side is because it says Hero 6 there, but it looks exactly like the Hero 5. Now, I have did a lot of videos about this little camera. I've did an unboxing. I did some camera tests. I bought a lot of equipment as well. So I've did lots of tests. I've showed you the external microphone and all that, to improve the audio. So I'll link to all of those videos below. I don't want to go over, all of that again and show you those clips. I'll just link to them below and you can check them out. What I want to do in this video is really just tie up my thoughts. Consider it a review. Consider it my impressions of it after having it for, a month or so. So yeah. I'm really just going to sit here and talk about the GoPro Hero 6. That's it, guys. So, without further ado, there'll be a lot of people out there who still haven't bought the GoPro Hero 6. So, what I want to do is just tell you my overall impressions of it after a month or so. Firstly, I think it's a very good camera. Very, very good camera. The quality is really good. I'll turn it on here. So the form factor is, it's the GoPro form factor. It fits with, maybe see I've got accessories and all that in the back, but basically if you find any action camera accessory online, it's nearly always designed for the GoPro. And there's a reason why all these other Chinese brands and all that imitate the form factor of the GoPro, because it's kind of the de facto standard now. So when you buy into the whole GoPro world, you are buying into an ecosystem of accessories and parts and all that kind of thing. So you will be impressed with it in that regard. Now, really, I guess let's get price out of the way. This thing's very expensive. Very expensive. It's £500 in the UK, $500 in USA. It's actually more expensive in other parts of the world. And I guess the biggest question is whether that's justified. Now, I'll talk about that in a second. But really, let's talk about the quality. This can do 4K at 60 frames per second. It can do 120 frames per second. In fact, it's more than that. If you could drop down to 1080p, you can do 240. In fact, that's disappeared there. So you can do 240 frames per second at 1080p. So that gives you, if you drop that down to 24, gives you slow motion, 10 speed or a tenth of a speed. So it's really, really good. As far as how it's built, when I first got it, I was a little bit annoyed, how these little covers come out. But it's actually, once you figure it out, it's actually quite easy. I did a video showing you about tips of how to do this, but essentially you have to push the button down, and then with your nail, you get in and it clicks open like that. So you kind of push it in like that, if I can hold it there, and then put it in your finger. It's hard to do it there with the camera, but that's essentially what you need to do, like that. I can't do it at that angle, I'm sorry. So you do it like that. And the other cover works the same way. Now, this other cover comes off. So I'll do that just now. This cover here comes off. And it is designed to do that. And what you need to do is slide that back and forth to get it back on. So the reason that comes off is so that you can get to the micro HDMI and the USB Type-C charging port. And that's useful because, there's been a few times I've been driving and I've kept it charging whilst I was driving so that, I could keep powering it. And therein lies in one of the bad points about the camera. Battery life isn't that good. Now, this is a problem that you get with a lot of action cameras, but, even I found that when I got the, I don't know what's going on there. When I got the GoPro first, and I was doing some 4K tests, and my God, see when you record at 4K at 60 frames per second, the battery burns up so quickly, like annoyingly quickly. It really is a pain how quickly this drains. I didn't time it, but like recording at 4K, 60 frames per second, I don't think you would even get any more than 30 minutes. No, I don't think you would even get close to that. It really burns down really quickly. So it's not really a practical shooting mode in many respects because of that. And the other thing to mention is that, there's a lot of shooting modes that aren't available at the highest frame rate. So, for example, one of the best things about this camera is the video stabilization. is top notch. At least when you when you compare it to other action cameras out there, video stabilization is where this excels. But if you record at 4K at 60 frames per second, video stabilization gets disabled. And the similar things, you do need to get the right format. I did a video about that as well. But you drop down to 4K. What am I on here? I'm on a different mode. You drop down to 4K at 30 frames per second, and you get video stabilization, but you still don't get linear mode. So you've got like the super wide mode, then you've got wide, and then linear is basically, it kind of transforms it into a compact camera in a way. So battery life is disappointing. It's something that you need to bear in mind. It is addressed a little bit by dropping down the resolution and the frame rate. So if you drop down to 2.7K, you'll get a little bit better. You drop down to 1080p, then battery life is a lot more acceptable. So bear that in mind when you're recording at 4K and this is a lot. One of the reasons a lot of people will buy this is because it can do 4K, which is good when you're traveling and in a car or you have it plugged in. 4K is fine, but I think for a lot of people, the hit that you take on the battery life maybe makes it not worth it, and you might want to focus on 2.7K. So that's something to bear in mind. Another thing to bear in mind is that when the GoPro 5 was released, which is same design as this, a lot of people were buying third-party batteries because the battery life was poor. So because the official batteries are quite expensive, they were buying third-party batteries. But GoPro came out with a release that made those, stopped the support for those third-party batteries. So you were kind of forced to buy the official ones. And I believe that's still the case. You do need to buy an official GoPro camera battery for this if you need more batteries in. I'm not saying they're the most expensive, but I think it's, say in the UK is £25 for one battery. But for that price, but with a third party one, you can get a charger and two batteries, so you get a lot more for your money. But unfortunately, you're kind of forced into the GoPro world, and you need to spend money on accessories. And that's talking about accessories. Well, audio is terrible in this. It really is terrible. Honestly, you can sugarcoat it any way you want, but it's terrible. When you're filming around like this, there's a huge amount of handling noise, and it's an absolute pain. It's an absolute pain. The handling noise is quite bad even when you've got it on like a selfie stick or a tripod, moving around. It really just isn't designed for that as far as audio goes. So I bought the case, and then I bought the accessory, the USB Type-C to 3.5mm accessory. That's like £50, and it's the only one that works. So on top of the 500, you had to pay another 50 for the audio adapter so that you can use an external microphone. Then I had to pay like another £20 for a case to actually put it on with a hot shoe. Then I had to use my £200 microphone. Yeah, so bear that in mind. If you're going to be using this for vlogging, then it's not the best, to be honest. It depends. So this can be used as a vlogging device. So if you're outside and you want to do YouTube videos or something like that, you can use this as a vlogging device. But to do that, you need the external microphone adapter. You need a case that's got a hot shoe adapter. So that's like £20, $20 or something. So there's another 70 on top of your total. And ideally, you want to shoot outside, because shooting inside, this thing gets really bad. It's terrible in low light. So to illustrate that, I'll plug it in and I'll show you. So I've got this plugged in to my Elgato. So it's all black just now, but if I just change a setting here, there we go. So look at this is what I'm getting. This is a 4K webcam from Logitech, and this is a 4K camera, but it's going at 1080p, but you can see the low light isn't the best here. So outside the where light is good, the GoPro looks great, but indoors the low light isn't amazing. Now what I'll do is
mute my microphone. You were probably getting me in stereo there, so I apologise. Now you should be able to hear me through the audio through the GoPro, and you're probably hearing a lot of handling noise when you're picking this up and moving it around. And this is the kind of audio noise that you get, the handling noise, and it really is a pain. So that kind of illustrates what happens when you're moving around with it, and when you're moving it around. So I'll
bring my, I'll mute the Elgato. So I'll switch back there. As you saw there, low light isn't the best. And actually, this room is actually quite well lit just now. When you actually, I should have showed that there, but when you actually take the lights out, the low light performance it really is bad. So I didn't show that there. So if I put my lights out for a second. So obviously there's not a lot of light now. You're getting a little bit of light from my screen. So you can see it's a little bit better there. So you can see certain angles. It looks okay. So I have kind of focused some of the negative points on this, so far. But it is important to note that. So video quality, I think, is very good when you're outside. Inside, I think the low light, it's very grainy. And I'd go as far as saying it's not the best. It's pretty terrible. If I'm honest, it's pretty terrible inside. It's really designed for outside and it's designed for low light. Don't expect to be using this at night time because the footage will be terrible. It really will be terrible. But it isn't really designed for that. Audio, though, is very disappointing. So if you do want to use this as vlogging, if you see yourself, you want to talk to the camera when you're walking around, you need an external microphone. You need like a shell to put it in to hold the microphone, some sort of setup like that. And you can actually get really good audio when you've got an external microphone built in. It does support battery-powered mics, and it supports, it will power something like a Rode Video Micro. And there's options for that. There's a boost mode that adds another 20 decibels of gain as well. I didn't actually need that for any of my mics. I found it was too much. With my Shure VP83 microphone, which is like a $200 mic, I thought, the mic's actually pretty good. The audio quality is quite good. So battery life is poor, audio is poor, but the audio can be corrected if you're willing to drop some money. Video quality, as I said, is low inside. Now, the other thing here, if really is the value. And whether GoPro is valuable to you or not, I don't know. Quite frankly, I don't think it's worth 500. That's the honest, truth of it. There are, there's like Chinese action cameras, like maybe like the SJ Cam series. You're talking like $120, $150, and you can get like a 4K cam. Now, those cameras do have some bad things as well. The video stabilization isn't great and things like that. But for most people who just want an action camera, I would say those cameras are acceptable. Now, the main camera that people compare this to, in addition to the GoPro Hero 5, is the Yi 4K Plus. The Yi 4K Plus can also do 60 frames per second. Now, I do encourage you to go out and look at other YouTube videos, look at the comparisons between those two. But from the comparisons that I've seen, and I haven't tested it myself, I did order the 4K Plus earlier this year, but they didn't deliver it after 2 months. So I thought, right, okay, so I moved on. But the comparisons that I saw between the two cameras seems to be that the Yi 4K Plus performs better inside. It handles low light much better. A lot of people say that they prefer the interface. I think the interface is quite good. It does freeze up sometimes. I would say that with GoPro. Occasionally, it's quite slow. It's still usable, but it is quite slow sometimes. But they said that the Yi 4K Plus handled low light much better inside. So for vlogging, that would be a better option. But they said that outside, the GoPro produced better video. Now, you can draw your own comparisons with that, guys. There's lots of videos out there. So check them out. But the key thing really is that, this is in the 500 range. The Yi 4K Plus is, the 300, 350 range. So you're paying a large premium to get the GoPro, and it still isn't excelling in all areas. So you need to take that into account. So again, to come back to value, is the GoPro worth it? And again, it's all subjective. It really is subjective. Here's the thing. This is the thing, I've found this myself. And I think everyone who buys an action camera finds this. And for 99% of people watching this, it will be true. When you buy an action camera, you have all these visions of, I'm going to record this, I'm going to record that, I'm going to record that. Within a couple of weeks, the novelty does kind of wear off a little bit, and then you find that you're trying to force yourself to do certain things to actually use it, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's not like you're not going to use it. You're like, oh, I could use it when I'm mountain biking, I could use it when there's this, I'm using it like that. And it's great at first, but after a while, the novelty kind of wears off, and now you've realised, wow, I've spent $500 on an action camera. And that's why there's a lot of people who sell GoPros after a few months, and that goes with other action cameras as well. So again, this comes down to value. If, it's your first action camera and you just want to take some clips, when you're on holiday and things like that, I would probably lean towards maybe something like the E4K Plus, or even a cheaper action camera, or even one of the cheaper GoPros, their older range, that does 1080p, their Hero range and things like that, the GoPro Hero. There's one at like 150 and one at 100 and things like that. I would say that's maybe a better option for most people, especially because, the more expensive GoPro Hero 5 and 6, it does have those higher resolutions and frame rates. But the fact that it kills your battery so much, it kind of puts you off from actually using it. So in theory, it's great to have all, this 4K 60 frames per second. It's amazing. But in practice, it burns your battery. It limits what you can do. At 4K 60 frames per second, I'm not going to be getting stable video. I'm going to get shaky video, which I found after doing a recording in my car. And also, you're going to get huge file sizes, which means that on your computer, it's using more in the memory card. On your computer, when you're actually trying to edit the video, it's a nightmare unless you've got a super, super fast PC. I've got a quad-core laptop, and even that struggled with 4K video. It really does struggle to the point where it's, if it was a 1080p video, I would spend 10 minutes editing it, and it was taking me like an hour because it was all jerky. So that's what I found. I bought this because it was the latest. It was the greatest. It has 4K, 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second and all that. The slow motion thing's cool as well. But in practice, I'm not using those things. So again, it comes down to value, and it comes down to, how are you using this thing? Moving forward, I see myself mainly using this to record footage in my car. I think it's really good in that way, and I think I will get a lot of use out of it. I will use it, but I'll be using it at 2.7K or at 1080p for the better battery life and just to make editing files better. So in hindsight, from a money point of view anyway, I probably should have bought an older GoPro or one of the cheaper cameras that have come out from China. And I would say that, for a lot of people, that would be true as well. So bear that in mind, guys. This is a fantastic camera. It produces great video. It's got lots of different video recording modes. And again, check out my previous videos for that to get more information about all of that. There's a huge amount of accessories out there, and you do need to actually buy those accessories to get the most out of it. And that's the other thing, you buy this at 500, and it does come with, a little grip thing that it holds on. A little case, which is, I probably should have got out. It's actually over there. It comes with a little case and things like that, but really you do need to go out there and buy like one of the accessory kits at least, which is fairly cheap at $15, $20, £20 or whatever. But without those accessories, this isn't the best. You need to buy headgear, chest gear, tripod mounts and all that kind of thing. You need to buy the accessories to get the most out of this. Now, if you're doing mountain biking, you're doing snowboarding, you're going on holidays, you're in the pool, this is perfect. You don't need a shell for it. It's waterproof. Down to, 10 meters. You can take pictures on it as well with 12 megapixel pictures, which outside look great. Again, inside they don't look great. One of the other cool modes this has got as well, which I've not touched upon yet, forget it. So hopefully I can see this in the camera. So there's photo, and there's burst, and there's time-lapse photo and time-lapse. There's time-lapse video as well. So the time-lapse modes are fantastic. This is something, I just played around with it for a night or two, and I was trying to record, my camera, and you can record it to, say, for example, take a shot every 10 seconds or every second or every minute. And if you're driving, it can produce really cool footage. You don't need to edit anything. It'll take a shot or a snapshot of a photo or a video every minute, every second, whatever you set it as. And it can produce really cool videos, really cool photos, as well. So, you know, for example, I've seen people using the time-lapse thing to take pictures of the stars, and it shows you it all blending in, and there's a lot you can do with it. It's a really cool feature, something that I really need to try and play around with more. So I have kind of covered most of the things. I realize this is a long video, guys. Please do check out my previous videos. If you want to, if you want to think, look at anything in detail, look at my previous videos and look at other videos as well. This is an expensive purchase. Do your research. It is a great camera. I would, whether it's better than the Yi 4K Plus is subjective. I've not tried the Yi 4K Plus. I would say because of, the waterproofing features, because of the video stabilization and things like that, I would say the GoPro just edges it. But you're paying a large premium to get the best. And every year, new technology comes out and things like that as well. So you need to bear that in mind when you're spending money. I think for most people, buy an older GoPro, buy one of the cheaper GoPros that are out there that only offer 1080p or 1440p, or perhaps try something like the SJ Cam range from China. I'll need to try some of them myself, but really, when you talk about these other cameras that also produce 4K, they might not be, as stable, etc., but they're like a quarter of the cost or half the cost. So yes, I would say the GoPro is the best action camera out there today. Maybe the Sony one, was it FDR 3000 or something? That's really good as well, but that's the same price. So I would say that overall, as a package, this is the best action camera out there. But I would also say that you're paying a hefty premium, and it's just like all technology, guys. It's the law of diminishing returns. You pay a lot more money for a little bit more functionality. So overall, yes, I'm glad I bought the GoPro. I'm glad I've got the Hero 6. It's a great camera. I'm going to try and use it a lot over the next year. It will come in handy when I'm doing certain shots, or when I'm out and things like that. But if I'm honest with myself, I probably could have saved a lot of money and bought one of the older GoPros. That's the reality of it. And I think that, I'm a YouTuber, so I've got a lot of reasons to record. I've got a lot of excuses and a lot of situations when I can record. But even I'm thinking I could have got an older one that did 1440p, 1080p, and it would have been fine. So for your average Joe on the street, you might just take some clips on holiday, some clips with the kids, some clips when you're out snowboarding, or even some footage when you're driving the car. I would say you really do need to look at the price, look at what you think you'll be recording in, and then weigh up the options. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video. I have undoubtedly missed out some points, no doubt about it. But please do look at all my other videos to get a better understanding of how this works. I've did videos on the menu system and all that as well. So if you get any questions about the GoPro Hero 6, please do leave a comment below. I'll do my best to answer your questions, or at least point you in the right direction. And again, this has been the GoPro Hero 6. It's a good camera, probably the best camera out today, but it's damn expensive. Till next time, guys, take care.